Welcome to the final lesson on building an email application using Ruby. I wanted to give you a final review of the entire exercise. I want to propose two different questions. What goals did we achieve throughout the entire exercise, and what improvements we could have made in order to make it better? Well, first of all, one of the biggest points about the exercise was about learning a new tool. It wouldn't make sense to accomplish a new exercise that does exactly the same thing as any other course. I wanted to make sure that you learn something new, so I thought of giving you a little heads up on some tools already available in the standard library for Ruby. Now you know how to interact with your email box, and there's actually a lot of different things that you can do with it. If you want to learn more on this new protocol, you can check these two links. The first one is the full reference for the IMAP class, and the second one is the official reference for the IMAP protocol. This is the raw information that goes through an IMAP connection. We've used the IMAP API in Ruby, but that is just a wrapper for the actual communication protocol. If you want to learn about it, then go and check that second link. We had some interesting challenges that we managed to tackle successfully. The first one, and the most important probably, is the fact that we used abstractions to control our code. We've looked at the list of features, and we've decided to create entities that represent our system. We've created an email entity as well as a folder entity. These two are the core of the entire application. Everything revolved around them, and we've created services that abstracted the way that we fetch the information and convert it to proper entities. Another important topic that I focused on sharing with you is storytelling. This is very important when trying to build a feature translated into code. We want to make sure that code is as readable and understandable as possible. If we manage to tell a story with our own code, it becomes easier to trace possible errors, and also it becomes a lot clearer when trying to change it according to new features or new requirements. When you tell a story using your own language, predictable change is easier to tackle, and you won't have as much trouble changing your code than before. We've also learned about gem publishing. Even though we used a private service to accomplish it, it's practically the same way as publishing a gem to the standard public rubygems.org. Instead of publishing to one place, you publish it to another. That's all there is to it. Regarding improvements to the exercise, there are some that I could tackle. The first one would be documentation. We could have provided some sort of README and in-class documentation. When you come to revisit your code later on, perhaps a couple of months from now, then most likely you will not remember what you've done. It's important to keep track of the major features about a specific class, a service, or any other point in your code really. A standard README would be precious in order to fully comprehend the big picture on the application. In-class documentation would prove very useful when trying to understand the very specific requirements for some types of data, for example, what kind of fields we should have in a hash, and stuff like that. Worst-case scenarios could be covered as well, such as data integrity, to be specific. We've tackled a few of these worst-case scenarios, such as a file not being present when trying to load the configuration data into our system, for example. Still, we could have done a little better by providing data constraints that would make up for a lot safer experience when trying to use the application. What if the user had an empty user credential? No string would be passed at all. How would we be able to manage that? We could have also played a little better with refactoring. Since the exercise was a little small for now, refactoring attempts weren't found. But as the application progresses, you will most likely have that opportunity. You can check the link on refactoring techniques in the show notes. We've done a course on that, so make sure to check it out before facing those refactoring opportunities. We encourage you to give us feedback on this course. You can check these 2 Twitter handlers. We welcome your suggestions and possible improvements that we can make. So let us know if you have anything to say to us. Thank you so much for taking the time in viewing this course. We hope you've learned something that you can take into account in your everyday development. We hope to see you very soon. Goodbye.